What's up? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Let's get down to the situation. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video, y'all. Let's get into this whole situation. So we have Kirk and Rasheeda and their three children. Their daughter, Kelsey Frost, her boyfriend's on the screen. His name is T Hood, and he's a rapper in Atlanta, and he's pretty good, and he does have a following, and it seems like his foot was in the door to basically make it or be underground or just be someone that can make money off of his music. You know what I mean? Being a solo act and also being an independent artist, but he's no longer here with us today. As you can see, when it comes to Kirk and Rasheeda's daughter Kelsey, she's on the screen, and her boyfriend is not here anymore, and she's basically feeling a certain type of way, and she's really not trying to say that her brothers are innocent. She's not saying that they didn't do anything. She's just saying, I did not call them to the scene, and I did not want anything to happen to my boyfriend because we was going to make up and be good in a couple of hours. So therefore, she's saying that her brothers allegedly overreacted in the whole situation. So in any event, over the weekends, about 17 to 18 hours ago, the police was called to Kirk and Rasheeda's property where her daughter Kelsey Frost lives with her boyfriend T Hood. So he's living in a house. I don't know if they had, other altercations. Is this something that goes on? Because if they are having altercations in a house, I don't know if Rasheeda and Kirk know what was going on in the whole situation. Were there any police called before? Is there a history of domestic violence between T Hood and Kelsey? Maybe the brothers could have been fed up. It's allegedly because, when it comes to T Hood, his sisters are calling out Kelsey and her two brothers, which is Kai Frost and also Kurt Frost Jr., his other older son. So as you can see on the screen, this is T Woods. He's chilling, he's rapping, doing what he do in Atlanta. And we got two of, Kirk and Rasheeda boys on the screen, and they are allegedly being accused of taking this young man's life. T Woods, he was 33 years old. He did have a daughter. He's not here anymore. And the way that the pow went, in the back and the chest and in the stomach over 8 to 7 times, he was injured. So it's a whole situation going on, and it's allegedly happened on Kirk and Rasheeda's property. And when it comes to Kai Frost, he actually lives in a house, I guess, with his sister. So he was already there at the scene. Maybe he got into an altercation. Maybe he was trying to, break up a domestic situation when it comes to T Hood and Kelsey, his sister, and it's their property. So they probably felt like an invader coming in, even though he lived there, that, we can't have you just, putting hands and foot on my sister. This is allegedly because T Hood sisters are basically saying that it was never a domestic situation. It was a setup that Kelsey called her brothers over there, or at least called the older brother over there, which is Kurt Frost Jr. He has on a black hat, as you can see on the screen, called him over, and they allege that he, went pow, and they are alleging that when it comes to Kai Frost, that he went pow too. So they're basically saying both brothers was involved in the situation, and Kelsey Frost, the only girl, their sister, set this whole situation up, and she is denying it. So this is a whole lot going on with Kirk and Rasheeda. 3 of her kids could be facing criminal charges. There's a young man found deceased at their property, and it's alleged that their 2 sons were involved and daughter. That's a whole lot going on. Like, this ain't no joke. They could be behind bars for the rest of their life. Then a young man lost his life, 33 years old, T Hood, and he has a daughter he was taking care of. So this is a whole messy situation all the way together. Rest in peace to the young brother that lost his life. But baby, if you are in an altercation with a woman and you are at her house and she got brothers that live there, brothers, just walk away, just leave. You know what I mean? Don't put your hands on a woman, don't put your hands on no man, because you don't know how the family members are going to react, what they're going through, what their mental state at the time is. And then now they're saying someone being abusive to their family member they might crash out. And it seems like there was a crash out and a young man lost his life, which is very sad. But in any event, when it comes to T Hood's sisters, she's basically saying there's no such thing as self-defense. If it was self-defense, why did your brother leave the scene? So she's talking about, I believe, the older brother. Why did he leave the scene? And when the police arrived, why wasn't he there? And why wasn't the weapon there? There was already a person, which she's talking about her brother. T Hood was, already deceased and he was gone. And she's basically alleged that they called 911 because Kelsey didn't call 911. The brothers didn't call 911. So right now they're feeling like something is shady, something ain't right, something ain't clean in the milk. And they're calling out the Frost children, basically saying if it was a domestic situation, if it was, something of that nature where it's self-defense, how come you guys didn't stay at the scene? How come you cleaned up the scene? How come, the weapon is not found at the scene? And they're also alleging that the two brothers and the sister cleaned up the scene and kept it moving, child. It's a whole mess going on in this situation. And the sisters continually post online and basically saying that if someone, and this message is the sister T Hood is addressing Kelsey Frost, basically saying if someone was hitting on you, someone was doing all this to you at your house, why not call 911 to remove the person from your house? That way they can live to see another day. And she also states Kai Frost lives there as well, which is the brother. Why wait on someone else to be pum then call 911? And again, your brother already lives there in the house. Why wait on the older brother to come then pow him together when 911 could have been called from 3 p.m. until the time that they were called? So basically the sister's saying that the younger brother, Kai, was waiting for the older brothers to show up so they can, do whatever it may be. This is alleged. This is what the victim sister is saying. And you got to know that she's probably outraged. She's probably hurt. And she's putting anything and everything that she can put out on social media because, she's grieving and she wants justice and she wants answers. And something just don't seem clean in the milk because she feels like her brother should be here. Lord Jesus. But in any event, this is what one of the sisters is stating of T Hoods on social media. And she's also saying, why leave the scene? And then she says that when it comes to Kelsey was on the phone with T Hood's mother and family members. And basically she alleged that Kelsey told her brother said F her and him. And this is why the sister says, so how is it self-defense if he's talking like that? So she don't want to hear the self-defense. So y'all tell me what y'all think about the whole situation. Child, don't put your hands on nobody. Leave the scene. Like sometimes, you have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, know when a situation where you need to go, where you need to leave. Maybe the sister should have left. Maybe she should have told the brothers to leave. Maybe she should have called Kirk Rasheeda. Maybe she should have called the police. Whatever she did, she should have did something differently to try to save this whole situation, because now, this is going to be, bad. This is going to be real bad. This is not something that's not going to go away. But in any event, the other sister, Jada, she gets online and basically she says that her brother T Hood is the only son her mother has, and now he's not here anymore. So this is really sad, and you can tell that the sisters are outraged. They're hurt, they're hurting, and they just want justice. They just want to know the answers. They want somebody to pay for what happened to their brother, and that's basically it. I don't know if T Hood has a domestic violence record. Has he, put his hands on Kelsey before or anything of that nature? But it just seems really bad. And sometimes you have to sit down your children, whether they're 19, whether they're 15, whether they in their 30s, and tell them, hey, listen, your sister might call you because of something with her mate. And did they know that this guy was abusive? Did they know that this guy, allegedly, wasn't good for her. And there should have been a warning to the brothers, like, she might call you to get in the mix of her situation. Just call the police or call us. Don't put your life on the line. And this is something that you have to really teach the lesson to your sons and your daughters of when you should get somebody involved and when you shouldn't, and should you get the law involved first before you call your brother or your sisters over, because somebody can lose their life. It's not just cut and dry, because everybody carries whatever they carry, and you don't know what type of influence they're under, and you don't know what type of mental state that they're in. So you have to be very intuitive and have discernment of things you should get involved in and things you shouldn't get involved in, and how can you de-escalate a situation. No matter how much you're upset, you got to think about somebody can lose their life, and a lot of people don't think like that. But in any event, the sister basically saying that she is upset, she's mad, and she doesn't care if Kelsey is hurting. She says that when it comes to Kelsey, she can see her brothers. She can't see her brother because T Hood is no longer here. This is a whole mess, a whole crazy situation. Also, T Hood's sister, basically shut down rumors that it was self-defense, because she's saying her brother turned around. He was walking away because he was hit in the back multiple times, hit in the chest and hit in the stomach. The way that they're describing the situation, it sounds like there could have been two people, pum on him at once. But in any event, it's going to come out with the evidence and forensics and things of that nature. The angle of how the trajectory was fired, it's all going to come out. You know what I'm saying? And they got cameras. So it's going to be one of them situations where they're going to get down to the truth unless somebody got a real bag to pay. And they're basically calling out the Frost son, saying, why did you leave the scene, Kurt Frost Jr.? Why did you bounce? Why did you leave if you didn't do nothing wrong? So that's their stance on the situation. And also, one of the sisters, she states in a post on social media that, as you can see, there's a picture on the screen, that the older brother, Kurt Frost Jr., he was basically outside of the house, and he said something was wrong with his ankle, but he left the scene before, the popos pulled up, or before 12 pulled up. So basically, they still call him out, saying that, you're guilty. You ran, you left. Most people run regardless. And then she also said, this is the other brother, the one who said his ankle hurts. He pumed him also, but left the scene before police came. He also stated that his sister called him to the property to help. Okay, so the sisters are saying, because the sister allegedly was on the phone with the mother, the sister Kelsey already stated that she didn't call the police, she didn't call her brother, but she did call his family members, she did call his family, she did call his mother. So she did make that public statement. And so the mother might be, relaying the information to the sisters, or the sisters could have been there as well. But she said he pumed him also, but left the scene. So she's basically saying that it was two people involved, two of the brothers involved. Kai was involved, and also, Kurt Jr. was involved. So this is a crazy old situation. And also, the sister states, T Hood's sister posted a photo, alleged suspect Kirk and Rasheeda's son Kai. So he's a suspect too. I don't know if they know exactly if Kirk Jr. is the suspect, or is Kai the suspect. At this point, they might not know who actually pumed, but they were both on the scene, and there's no weapon on the scene as well. So, and this is a whole crazy situation. And also, the sisters feel like, when it comes to Kelsey, that she set up her brother. Kelsey set up her brother T Hood, and she basically says he was hit 5 times. In the back and the stomach and the chest. They cleaned it up and hid the other brother so the police wouldn't find weapon or him. So basically, they are doing their own investigation from what they gathered from everything else, and they are out on social media, just venting, and they're gonna vent a lot probably. And this is a real tragic situation. And also when it comes to Kelsey, she made a post. She was told not to speak. She was told not to say anything. But she does state this: I love my man with my entire heart. Sending me threats. I am grieving too. I am hurting too. I did not harm anyone or ask anyone to harm him. I did not call for anyone to come help me. I did not ask for this. I would never. My baby was still healing from being pum 3 times. So it seems like when it comes to T Hood, he has already been in a life-threatening situation and he survived that situation. But this situation, he did not survive, so he was already one. I am the only girl, and I know we would have been right back together that same night. So she's saying that she would have been back with him that same night. You know what I mean? But she can't be with him because he's not here anymore. So it seems like she's throwing the blame onto her brothers, that I didn't call them. I didn't tell them to intervene. I didn't tell them to handle anything. I handled my situation privately, or whatever the case may be. So basically she's saying that her brothers are the ones that came, they intervened when they wasn't asked to intervene. And she's basically stating on a regular basis they probably get into it, but they make it back to each other in hours. So in any event, as you guys could see, she's definitely throwing her brothers under the bus, because she loves her man and he's not here anymore and he's gone, and she's probably hurt and she's mad at them, and she's upset, and she's in probably disbelief if she didn't set up anything. So therefore she's basically saying her brothers took it into their own hands to intervene. And if you do have brothers and somebody's putting hand and foot on you and verbally abusing you, your brothers most likely are going to step in, especially if they've been the kind that taught to step in, especially if they love you. So therefore, when you have a person that is doing that to you and he's in the same house as your brother, it was going to get bad. You have to look in the future. You just can't live in the right now, here and now. You got to look out for things, because things like this can happen. They could be avoided if people think ahead of time. If the mother and the father knew that she was in a bad relationship, but she's still with this man and he's living on the property that they brought and paid for, he should have been out of there. Or the brothers should have been taught, like, hey, listen, if something happens with your sister and her man, please call the police, or leave the scene, try to go get help, or call us. Because nobody looks in the future that it can get worse, because no one's going to sit around and watch you beat somebody. Okay, that's not going to happen. And if you know you with an abusive man, you need to leave him. For real. Just because you love the toxicity doesn't mean the people around you like the toxicity either. And you might be okay with it or might identify with your abuser, but the people around you ain't. So there's a chance that somebody could be taken out, and it looks like it was T Hood. She said, from one, I am the only girl, and I know we would have been right back together that same night. If anything, I did not involve my folks in our business. I did not call a brother. I did not call anyone but his mother. That's my baby. I don't care who's involved. I don't condone this. I am not okay. So basically she's saying that her own words, that she was talking to, T Hood's mother on the phone while this whole situation was going down. So therefore, what the sisters are saying could be credible, that the mother relayed the messages that she received from Kelsey that night her son T Hood was taken away from this planet or this earth, and relaying the message to the sisters. So we'll see if there's going to be any charges. They are alleging. When it comes to Kai was questioned, but right now no one has been arrested. The police are investigating this death as a homicide, and I guess they are going to do what it do, baby. But yeah, this is a sad situation.